Who's on the phone?
Hey, it's me, Sammy.
I suspected
Jimmy.
as much. Jimmy
We were waiting
Reefercake.
for this call.
Total Jimmy Reefercake bait today. What's up? What's your position on this, Jimmy Reefercake?
Well, I just, I think the price should be as low as possible. That I kind of disagree with your guest, kind of like the last caller. But another way to look at it too is that marijuana is one of the choices that are going to be out there. So you got alcohol, you got tobacco, you got even worse products such as a sniffing glue, or you got bath salts, or you can get all this crap on the internet. There's such a you can chug NyQuil. Now, if a kid, somebody under the age of 15 especially, is doing any sort of thing, the parents are. I mean, it's just insane for me to. Let's say a kid under the age of 15 is smoking marijuana. That's a big problem, and the best solution to go at that, I think, is with through the parents and through the schools and education. It just the guy. I do want the price to be as low as possible. It's also an economic thing, as a harmless thing that someone who doesn't make a lot of money can partake. And that is how I feel, Sammy.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there are probably sort of like taxing regimes that you could sort of fashion, if necessary. But I will also say that I know that Kleiman also feels that taxes on alcohol are significantly lower than they should be, and I think sort of traditionally they're also significantly lower than they have been. Historically speaking. And, again, it's that problem of, you could say parents and schools, but I mean, do we really need to be putting more responsibilities on schools? And, we know that not necessarily all parents are going to be able to do this. So if we have a mechanism and, I suppose one could argue his assessment about the elasticity of and how it deals with marijuana. But if you accept the research that he is citing about the implications of the cost of marijuana, then I think and you don't want kids to be using it, then I think you have to you have a hard choice to make there. And from a public policy standpoint, I think what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Because at the end of the day,
yeah, I'm sorry. Just before I lose my train of thought on it, it's just that it all comes back to the matter of where marijuana stands as in all the harmlessness of it. So once you even treat it like alcohol, you're really you're not on the same ticket there, because alcohol, man, it'll really.
I don't think Kleiman would disagree with you. I think he also would like to see far more stringent regulation on alcohol too. I mean, I don't think he would disagree with that assessment at all. I mean, he was very quick to say.
I don't think the solution is to regulate alcohol either. I mean, I think you too. Even you said all drugs. Like personally, I think like heroin or cocaine, things that you can overdose on, should be made illegal. But alcohol is you can produce it yourself too. I mean, I don't see why you need to make it. And if marijuana is even safer than alcohol, you're just jumping into you're buying an argument. So like Joe Scarborough says, weed makes you dumb, but that's like it's like buying it. Basically, I understand, but I think once you get into these details, you skip over the fact that weed really is quite excellent, safe to use. Kids should not be using anything. It's insane. Like, why do kids always have to be thrown into the boat here?
Well, because I mean that's the
just
reality. I mean,
pissed.
the reality is you got to look at the implications of any type of policy here. So, and I certainly would like to err, at least going into this, as we enter into an era of legalization. I would like to err on the side of finding we've been too protective of kids than not. But your mileage will vary.
Well, I like how they take the tax and they put it towards the schools in Colorado, and if you tax the hell out of it, I'm not going to be complaining about the tax.
All right.
Just like the whole attitude. I just don't like his attitude about he's going to, do something and control the price in order to keep kids off of it. It's just like it should be legal. Maybe he's just talking about taxing it higher, and I didn't quite get the vibe.
Oh yeah, I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But anyway, the main thing is keep the stigma down and help people know the truth. And thanks, man. It was a good show, as always.
I had a feeling you'd enjoy it.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
But
See you.
If I'm understanding Jimmy Reefercake correctly, though, I think he brings up a pretty good point, though. I mean, kids are going to do this stuff. And the cheaper option right now for some kid in high school is alcohol. There's really cheap alcohol. And I mean, I would rather have a kid do it. If they're going to do something, I would rather have them be smoking weed. It's easily the safer one. Hands down.
I think in his estimation that the price is going to fall, that the price is going to fall significantly lower than alcohol, and you could tax it so that the price is a little bit higher than that. I think he clearly saying that there is a sweet spot in terms of what the price is. You don't want it so low that it becomes like excessively easy to access if you're a child. In other words, that it is so cheap. I mean, it's a weed, right? And it's so cheap that, the idea of your 21-year-old cousin saying, hey, here's a half a pound, cost me $5 or whatever it is. You don't want it to fall so low that is an option. But of course, you don't want it to go so high that you maintain the price point that the black market maintains. So I think he thinks there's a sweet spot, and I think he just feels that we're going to drop below it ultimately. But I think I would just say to people, don't be so knee jerk about about this.
I think the
Jesus.
big I don't know what they're doing.
I don't think we can hear it on here, though,
Okay,
so don't
good.
worry.
I think, though, it is interesting, regardless of his particular view of marijuana or your particular view of marijuana, just the notion that the way it could be done is because even just theoretically, the notion that you wouldn't ban certain types of advertising or you wouldn't highly tax certain commodities, I have a huge problem with as a philosophical premise around anything. So if the path to legalization, I think that's the interesting point, is just this libertarian, let's create this new massive irresponsible industry and all the things that come with that. That will come with non-organic production. Like there's all these different things that you could look driving down the price. I mean, in terms of like abusive labor practices,
look.
There's all sorts of things that are loaded into what he's talking about that I think are relevant if you have like a big cannabis in the same way of a big pharma.
Right, exactly. I think that's absolutely correct.